In my last video, we saw Henry go from a good-for-nothing blacksmith's son to a good-for-nothing blacksmith's son who was also very drunk. And today, we will continue that journey to beat Kingdom Come Deliverance whilst absolutely sloshed. But first, why don't you subscribe so I can finally afford my penile surgery that's 6 weeks overdue. Last time Henry came to see us, he was feeling quite hungry, both for milfs and for Sir Hans. But Henry had to satiate this thirst, and to do so, he went to shag Sir Divish's wife. Afterwards, we return to Hans with no rabbits and proceed to hunt a dinosaur. Realising Henry is starting to become sober, we neck some more wine and find Hans kidnapped. It was here that Henry once again remembered that Sir Hans is his and no one else's. So we stumble into the camp while completely drunk, farting, sharting and shitting, and save Hans from the enemy before stumbling all the way back to Rattay while absolutely rat-arsed. Henry must have forgotten just how much he drank before he saved Hans and carried him back, because as soon as we get back to Rattay, we end up drinking ourselves into oblivion, passing out and ending up back in bed. What Henry did in this state of drunkenness will never be known, although I do believe it involved the three-peater. From here, Henry stumbles back to Rattay to join Daddy Number 2's men on a hunt to find the man who took our other daddy's sword, Runt the Cunt himself. Here we are also given the horse that we'll be using for the next 100 hours of gameplay through KCD 1 and 2, Pebbles. We will be giving Pebbles a brand new nickname to suit the challenge, so I have decided to call him Whiskey and Nicotine Cock, or Wank for short. It was around this time that while I was live streaming my gameplay, I had a complete power cut. So from here, all of this footage is new and recorded by myself because I have no friends and no air fryer. Speaking of streaming, most of this video was streamed over at twitch.tv/Huey, so why don't you come on down, follow, say hi, and fucking goon with the chat or something, I don't know. After my mild power cut, I rebooted my PC and made a drunken Henry enter the woods where we encountered a bandit. At least I thought he was a bandit, but after a long 20-minute fight, I killed him, robbed everything he had for beer money, and managed to still seemingly upset the guards. Turns out, that wasn't just an ordinary bandit I killed. This bandit was known as the Diddler, who held such power and influence that a guard threw me in jail and poor Henry had to suffer for 7 days straight without beer. After escaping the jail and having a few more drunken shenanigans, we realise we had to hunt down a guy called Ginger, because he's ginger, who then told us we had to hunt down a man named Riki, who apparently reeks like piss. Following Riki's trail led me to one of the greatest characters in all of fiction, Father Godwin, who I swear has a different voice actor every time I see him. For Father Godwin to break the secret he kept for Riki, we have to get absolutely fucked with him. Now, Godwin is a menace to society who can keep up drinking even with dear old Henry. Now, not only can Godwin drink, but he absolutely fucks, which unfortunately I can't show on YouTube, but please stimulate yourself and visualise it with this image. The next morning, Henry wakes up as hungover as ever, but this is just an average day for our lad Henry, so he gets right back on it. We then proceed to head to church and deliver a sermon for Godwin as part of our deal for him to tell us his dirty little secret with Riki. We then choose the worst possible dialogue option every time while delivering the sermon, and Godwin refuses to help us since I fucked it so badly. I honestly thought this was impossible to fail, but it turns out you learn something new every day, and I'm just a massive dumbass. With our only lead exhausted, I do what I do best and do a medieval Google by reading a book that magically tells us where Riki is. And somehow, he's still alive by the time we get there. We actually manage to save him and fight off his pursuers. All of this is to attempt to find out where Runt the Cunt is hiding, but to find that out, we need to go find another member of their gang, a man called Timothy. We drunkenly stumble over to Timothy's family home and manage to get his sister to come behind the mill with Henry for sexy time. But it turns out it wasn't Henry sexy time, it was Henry information time, and Henry proceeded to information all over the place. Timmy's sister gives us the location on the condition that we find him and bring him home safe, but before I could do anything, Timmy's pursuers come over for a chat. Now, I am a man of my word, so obviously I take the next logical step and ask for payment from these guys before telling them where Timmy is. But instead of sending them to Timmy, I send them in another direction. This, of course, fails miserably because Henry is a useless drunk, so we take their money, hop on Wank, and run the fuck away to try and find Timmy ourselves. Turns out Timmy was hiding nearby, so we go straight to him and ask him to give up the location of Runt the Cunt. Turns out, Runt was hiding in an area called Privislavitz. To reward Timmy for his valuable information, we gave Timmy a swift, very merciful killing. With the necessary information finally acquired and our drinking skill levelled to level 17 out of 20, we run back to Daddy number 2, who gives us head as our reward, and the ability to join them on the raid of Privislavitz. Now, since Henry hasn't specialised in anything other than drinking, he is useless in any form of combat, including sword fighting, arrow play, foreplay, meaning the whole raid we are just forced to run around and offer moral support, occasionally stealing from the dead for booze money. Occasionally we try to shoot things with an arrow, but we miss every single shot. Henry takes a good battering in this raid, bleeding through it most of the time. Since I had no bandages, Henry died more times than I would like to admit. After numerous drunken attempts, we finally encounter Runt himself. Now here, since Henry has taken a good deal of damage, we are bleeding profusely, so before the fight could even begin, we bleed out and die. This happens so many times, I genuinely thought it was over here. I thought Runt had got the better of me. I thought Henry, without any combat skill, little booze and no bandages, had no way to beat Runt normally. But luckily for me, I had one final trick up my sleeve. Before I started this raid, I learned the Master Strike, so I just had to stare Runt in the eyes and kiss him passionately every time he attacked. It was a close call since Runt didn't like to be on the offensive, but after a couple more attempts, I finally managed to take down Runt by making him deep throat the wood on the floor. Turns out, Runt didn't even have Henry's daddy's sword, so you might be asking, where do we go from here? All of our leads are lost. Well, it was revealed that the Tooth Man was the man backing Runt, so we are not done yet. In fact, our drunken journey has only just begun. But I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger again since this video took me far too long to make. The footage I'm showing you doesn't even remotely show just how many times I had to suffer and retry so many sections of this game. My pain is only just beginning. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next drunken episode soon, where who knows, I might be intoxicated too.